qualifying order then for the last race at Sardegna. So popping it on pole, myself. I'm currently leading the championship on 138 points. So I take pole here. P2, James Harben. The McLaren, a brilliant car for this track, and in the championship he has 66 points. McLaren should do well here. Fat Pickles Bro then, P2 in the championship for him, P3 on the grid. 134 championship points to his name. Paul's doing very well in the championship as well, just 1 point behind Mercedes. In fourth then, Surfer Ev. He's had a very good season. 66 championship points to his name. Ice Chance, he occupies P5 then on the grid. 33 championship points to his name. The Aston Martins, watch out for those in the race. In 6th place, Jasper Phil Jensen in the Dodge Viper, Team Viper Cyprus. Teammate's not here today, but he occupies he's got 97 points in the championship. Valtteri, my teammate, grabbed 7th in qualifying, 88 championship points to his name. Then in 8th position on the grid, Mutt 36. As you saw in the intro there, he's trying to grab 3rd place in the championship with 88 points after winning at Bathurst last week. Let's see what the Group 3 Volkswagen can do. Infinity Decals 9th then after qualifying. He's got 78 championship points to his name. He's embroiled in that little midfield battle that you also saw in the intro. C Trickle in the Toyota, his teammate also not able to attend today. He has 46 championship points to his name and starts this race in 10th position. Last but by no means least, Tricky Tree 74 in the McLaren F1 GTR. 17 championship points to his name. Let's get on with the race then at Sardegna, the final of the Infinity GT Manufacturers Series Season 4. So the final round then of the Infinity GT Manufacturers Series. All you can hear is that McLaren ready to get underway here at Sardegna for 50 minutes. The revs are rising and everyone gets away cleanly. The Porsche does bog down a little bit. That's going to give the Aston Martin and the Mercedes a run on him. The Aston Martin's actually dinking left and right to try and get past. Meanwhile at the front, it's myself just ahead of James Harben, but only by a fingernail. The Aston Martins and the Porsches are going head to tail, just trying to get past one another. James Harben gets shuffled out wide, so does Phil. But everyone seemingly makes it through turn 1 all in one piece. Surfer with a fantastic start. He's up to P4. P3 now gets past Fat Pickles Bro, sorry. So it is myself leading ahead of James Harben, Surfer, Fat Pickles Bro, Ice Chan, Tricky Tree, Infinity Decals, Phil, Mutt 36, C Trickle, and now Terry's all the way at the back. He's had an awful start. So he's got lots of work to do in the other Mercedes. But it's a Mercedes sandwich then, so one at the front, one at the back at the minute. The Aston Martins are an absolute tower of power, and it's Ice Chan now trying to get past Fat Pickles Bro as we come down towards the first complex of corners. Ice Chan does send it down the inside. That's Fat Pickles Bro now down to 5th. Tricky Treat in the McLaren now could potentially upset this. These McLarens are built for this track. They are an absolute monster of a car here. James is trying to prove to me. I just don't get a good view out of the back of the Mercedes, do you? But you will see just how much time this McLaren gains on me. And a really long straight here at Sardegna is the characteristic of the track. Just look at that McLaren now, that V12, the BMW V12 on board, that is just flying now. But I am just ever so slightly more sure on the brakes on the Mercedes. Surfer Ev in the V12 Aston Martin is absolutely flying now. The other Aston Martin of Ice Chan rocking 4th at the minute, just pulling a little bit of a gap to Tricky Tree now. Fat Pickles Bro is still sticking with him. Mutt 36 and Phil now having a little bit of a battle. and Infinity Decals and Valtteri. So Terry's changed his PSN for this one. They're having a bit of a battle at the back at the minute. But it is V8 versus 3 V12s at the front of the field. As I am now getting swarmed by a McLaren and 2 Aston Martins. I'm having to drive defensively now. Oh, what happened to Ice Chan then? I think I remember seeing this on the actual, in the race, or hearing about it in chat. So I think Ice Chan just gets caught out on the brakes a little bit. And instead of hitting anyone else, hits himself into the wall. Now that is selfless sportsmanship right there. Weirdly enough, it doesn't actually cost him that much time. Puts him back into tricky tree a little bit, but he's alright. He's fine, he'll get straight back up there again. So lap 2. We're about to do the same process all over again. So just to fill you in on a few things that have changed since last week. So, well, one thing really that's changed since last week. Gran Turismo Sport, the game that obviously we're playing on, rolled out a big update between the 2 races, and the update was pertinent to the pit stop times. So previously pit stops would cost you, if you just went in there to change tyres, it cost you about 12-13 seconds. It wasn't a massive amount of time. Now that has in most cases doubled, in some cases tripled, as we see Tricky Tree then going off the track. What happened here? Oh, we got late on the brakes, so yeah, he nerfed himself there. He did what Ice Chan did a moment ago, just picked a spot where he didn't have to take any cars out. Yeah, so that meant the strategy for this had to be sort of reinvented a little bit. I was initially planning on a faster 3-stop strategy, but I now had to revert that to a 2-stop and fuel save and tyre save a lot. So I'm short shifting all the time, I'm lifting, I'm coasting. I think most of the other guys were doing the same as well. There were very few people that weren't quite heavily fuel saving in this one. But I was taking it to the 9th degree because the Mercedes is a bit more of a thirsty beast. So the 2 Aston Martins now back fighting again. This time Ice Chan, who a lap or 2 ago nerfed himself at this corner, now does try and get past his teammate Surf Rev. Good battle kicking off behind between Fat Pickles Bro, Phil and Mutt. Phil, who's really usually very good on the fuel saving as well. So there's Fat Pickles Bro and Phil that are the master fuel savers in this league, I'd say. So we'll see what they come. I mean, they may not be running in the best positions right now, but I'd imagine that will all change when it comes to pit stop time. That will all change around. We've got Tricky Tree now just ahead of Sea Trickle, Infinity Decals and Valtteri. So Tricky Tree, who sent himself off a lap ago, is now embroiled in a little bit of a battle at the back end. So again, James Harbin goes for a move on me. By the time really that McLaren gets into its stride and reels me in, because I am a little bit quick around the twisty stuff in sector 3, but by the time the McLaren gets its legs stretched, it's about pulled level with me. And it's not as good on the brakes as the Mercedes, so I can, to get past me, he will have to be ahead of me by the time we get on the brakes to really make that position stick. The Aston Martins don't really have that issue, so to speak. They are not as fast in a straight line as the McLaren, but they are better on the brakes, so a bit more of a modern machine. So them making overtakes is probably a little bit easier than the McLaren. The McLaren has the power. As we see Fat Pickles Bro and Phil now fighting away. Phil on the attack now against the Porsche. This isn't a Porsche circuit, they're not really a power car. Same for the Mercedes really, we're not power cars. So we have got the odds stacked against us here, myself and Dave, who are, as you saw by the intro, in a bit of a title fight at the minute. The only real pertinent thing is I've got to finish ahead of Dave, Fat Pickles Bro. The only thing is if he wins the race, I can only win if I come second, take pole and fastest lap. So at this position, I'm in a good position right now. James Harbin in a lot better position though. He's actually ahead of me now going down into turn 1. Yep, and the McLaren makes the move then. You can see he only just got the car stopped. He only really just reeled that one in, but now the McLaren can just bugger off into the distance. Now it's got clear air ahead of it. It's not constrained now by slipstream into corners and stuff like that, so it can just start to stretch its legs. Al will now come under pressure from the 2 Aston Martins. The Aston Martins, who don't seem to be fuel saving as much, they are short shifting a little bit, but Ice Chan has set a 41.3 on his 4th lap, whereas my race pace is in the 42s. That's because of the amount of fuel saving. The Mercedes can do 40s and 41s, it just, when you're fuel saving, you can't really do that sort of pace with it. So that's the battle for the top. Watch for me getting reeled in by these Aston Martins, it's coming. I may have the slipstream of James Harbin for maybe a lap or so to help, but once that goes, I'm a sitting duck. A bit further down, Mutt 36 has got himself now up into 5th, ahead of Phil and Fat Pickles Bro. Don't forget Fat Pickles Bro here a lap ago, ran it just a little bit wide here, and that just sort of ran him off the track, so to speak. Then the little battle at the back, which is led by Tricky Tree, Valtteri, Sea Trickle and Infinity Decals. So there's a couple of different little battles going on throughout the pack. One person that's not going to be battling as much really is James Harbin, who now is in a class of his own now really. At 40.7 on that lap for James Harbin. Ice Chan now is ahead of me. We didn't see that. I think I ended up getting this corner here a little bit wrong. Yeah, there we go, look. I managed to gather it all up, immediately went defensive, but that's going to cause me to run deep here. Yeah, my own mistake there. Ice Chan got that nice and tidy, and now I'm going to come under pressure from Surfer Ev. So yeah, now it's going nothing bad to worse for me, because if I ended up P4 it wouldn't be a bad position. I'm just trying to keep in the slipstream here of Ice Chan. Ironically enough, Ice Chan is helping me not get overtaken by Surfer Ev. If I can get back ahead of the Aston Martins into this section here, I stand a better chance, but Ice Chan gathers it all up out of turn 1 and keeps that position. Surfer Ev then jinking left, jinking right, trying to get his way past me, but it doesn't put me off. I just keep my line. Any move there would be an absolute send, so it wouldn't really work for him, so he doesn't end up sending it. Not much changed a little bit further down. We'll keep an eye on the... in fact, we'll keep an eye on this little battle, Valtteri and Tricky Tree. Valtteri sends it then down the inside on the McLaren. The McLaren didn't really have much of an answer to that. This is the McLaren's weak spot though, really, cornering. It ain't the best in the corners, but obviously it's a tower of power here, and just look at how much Tricky Tree, you can just drive straight past him. Terry though, slightly better brakes on that Mercedes. Oh, they both run it deep. They both run it deep there. Oh, and Sea Trickle, I'm sure you're not like me. And the buzzing, I've got to be honest, this livery is one of my favourites. Like the buzzing Hornets Jordan livery that they've gone for this time around. I really like that. But he just picks up a heap of oversteer. There we go, there, look, just gets on the throttle just a little bit too early. So now that's helped Infinity Decals out, because he's now up to 8th after Tricky Tree and Valtteri had a little bit of a battle. We'll check back in at the top. James Harbin still leading away. Myself and Surfer then side by side. And now obviously the Aston Martin has the power on the Mercedes here. It's just a faster car. Like, I'm topping out 158, he's doing 162 at least. And he didn't get a great exit out of that last turn. He goes for the move. I'm going to stick it though on exit. I have got the drive out the corner, so I managed to keep my position. This is losing us time to Ice Chan though. Surfer's objective here though is just to try and get past me as soon as possible. If he can do that, he can start to run away with it a little bit. Obviously, I don't want that. I don't want to lose a load of time and come under fire from the guys a little bit further back, because that pack contains Fat Pickles, bro, and that's the guy I'm actually racing today. So I don't want to get too involved in this if I can help it. In terms of my strategy, I was aiming for a pit stop after around 11-12 laps, trying to stretch this first tank of fuel as much as I could. So I didn't want to get embroiled in a battle I didn't need to be embroiled in. So checking back a little bit further, Infinity Decals still leads this little pack. Tricky Tree ahead of Valtteri, and C Trickle now after that incident down in 11th. Only 11 drivers today, which is a bit of a shame, but we know why some of them didn't turn up, because I mean they have spoke to us and told us. I think one of the other Toyotas had internet issues, so kind of out of his control. So does Surfer get past me this time? No, he does not. Mutt 36 and Phil now battling away. Mutt manages to keep the position, but Phil is putting the pressure on the VW. Look at the right. Let's have a little bit of a look through fuel. It's James Harben over quarter of a tank, between quarter and half of a tank. Ice Chan quarter of a tank. Myself nearly half a tank, not far off half a tank. Surfer just over quarter. So he's done a little bit better than his teammate in terms of saving. Mutt 36. An eighth of a tank, so that VW is absolutely churning through the fuel. Phil about the same as me in terms of fuel, so yeah, he's me, him, and I think Fat Pickles Bro. Fat Pickles Bro's got the most out of all of us, not by a lot though. Infinity Decals quarter of a tank. Tricky Tree doing a good job on fuel as well. He's between quarter and half a tank. Valtteri just over quarter of a tank now, and C Trickle under quarter of a tank. So different fuel levels between every car. And the reason why I sort of point that out is because that matters here now, because it directly relates to your pace on track. So yeah, the less time you spend in the pits here is critical to your race, and the less pit stops you make is even more critical. So we are 13 minutes into 50 minutes at Sardegna. No doubt strategy is going to start playing a part in this one. Surfer F though, I'm just waiting for this move to be made, and now I don't fully defend this. I really should have committed to that, but didn't. Surfer saw a gap, went for it, and managed to stick his car down the inside. I managed to get a good drive out the corner though, and just get him straight back in. But you can see he's absolutely needing to send it right now, because the longer he's stuck behind me, the further ahead his teammate's getting. I'm sorry, Surfer, but I needed a result out of this one, dude. It's good fun racing, though. It was really good fun racing. Two cars with two completely different concepts, I'd say. So the Aston Martin is a tower of power. It's not bad in the corners, it's not bad on the brakes. It's a decent all-round car, really. But it has got that V12 sort of equaliser up front. The Mercedes is nowhere near as powerful, but can really squat down out the corners. It's nice and stable. You can really chuck it around, and it's pretty decent on brakes and all the other stuff as well. But the Aston Martin there, just off the back straight, just able to drive through. We are now approaching some pit stops, I'd imagine, so we're 15 minutes in, so yeah, plenty of action to come here, you bet. So lap 11 then, and the wail of the V12. I love the noise of that thing, it's beautiful. Let's see if James pits. Yes, he does. So 18 minutes 40 seconds gone, end of lap 11, he pits. 3 litres of fuel left in that car. I carry on. So does Phil. So does Fat Pickles Bro. Tricky Tree's going to end up pitting this lap as well. So will Valtteri. Ice Chand and Surfer F both did pit. They both used quite a bit of fuel in that initial first charge they did, so now they're on their medium stint. So they'll be a little bit slower now, but we'll see how that arrives to them later on. Probably do quite a long medium stint, these guys. So is Mutt 36, he's pitted as well. Infinity Decals has also pitted, drifting that Porsche all over the place. And so has C Trickle. He's been in the pits as well. So let's see where James Harbin comes out. He is now out in 4th. So yeah, long lap, that lap 11. So he's doing 41s, and with the pit stop included, it's a 2:17. So that tells you just how long the pit stop takes here at Sardegna. It is an absolute crusher. So James now out on another set of softs. He's got a full tank of fuel. He will go as long as he can on those tyres. Doesn't want to go on the mediums for as long if he can help it. Right, so the only people left to pit then are the top 3, which is currently myself, Phil and Fat Pickles Bro. Fat Pickles, like we said, has saved the most fuel out of all of us. We've managed to eke an extra lap out on the softs though, so overall that might help us in terms of race pace. Doing sort of 41s, you see the 43 there is where I started battling with people. Phil doing so. Phil's great consistency, 41s all day long for him. And Fat Pickles has had a few battles along the way as well, but he's also in the 41, so good race pace from all of us. James Harbin's race pace though cannot be understated. He's in the high 40s every single lap. He's absolutely going hell for leather in this McLaren at the minute, and it's this would be his first podium, I think, if he managed to secure this one, and currently he's leading the way now. So retakes the lead. He's going to be just ahead of Phil, who's right, so Phil's gone half a tank on mediums. I've took a little bit more fuel on, so just under 3/4 of a tank for me on the mediums. I come out just ahead of Ice Chand, who's also on mediums. Fat Pickles Bro's gone for another stint of softs and a full tank of fuel, so he's doing the same as what James is doing and taking the mediums right at the end of the race. I think a few people are doing that, to be fair. So mixed strategies all over the place now. Plenty of time for action. In terms of myself and Phil, to be fair, I don't need to worry about overtaking him too much. He's got good pace. He's not exactly slowing me down, so I was quite happy just parked behind him, to be fair, getting his slipstream and saving a bit of fuel. Absolutely no issue for me. Yeah, Phil's got good pace, so no concerns, but if the opportunity comes to overtake him, then I'll do it. We'll see what happens. As for the 2 Aston Martins, they just need to maximise this medium stint as much as they can. They're going to go softs at the end and go fast again, so yeah, the race in theory should come to them. A nice little battle happening here for P5 between Surf and Mutt and Fat Pickles Bro. The Aston Martin, not really at risk of getting overtaken at the end of here, I guess, but he is giving a toe to Mutt, which is helping him defend Fat Pickles Bro. Mutt looks like he's revving the nuts off that thing now. He's going to try and go for the move. Surf has to go defensive down into turn 1. Mutt might try and swing this around the outside. Doesn't get the traction on the mid corner, and instead has to settle back in to P6. Fat Pickles Bro then. We said he's running the softs again, and stuck behind a car running mediums isn't ideal for these boys. It's going to slow them down. They do need to get past Surf as quick as possible, but as we've sort of mentioned, this track suits these power cars, so they're very difficult to get past, because the bit that they're not very good at isn't really very good for overtaking. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, Phil's pulled away from me a little bit. I've started coming under pressure from Ice Chan now. We're both on mediums, but he's in a ruddy quick car. James Harbin, meanwhile, I'm sorry James, you're not going to get a ton of coverage straight away because you're in another level at the minute. So yeah, I'm starting to come under pressure now from Ice Chand, who just runs it a little bit wide. We've all done that. Ice Chan might go for the move and down into turn 1, you think? Surfer still leads this little contingent. And then everyone's just on slightly different sort of strategies. So at the minute, a lot of the race has yet to be panned out. We'll get a true picture of where everyone's sort of going to be sitting towards the end of it as Ice-chan goes for the move on me. And gets that nice and tidily made. Goes a little bit deep actually, I'm able just to retake that, but I was going to say that seemed like a decent move there by Ice-chan. What happened here between these guys? So this is on board Surf Rev. Do love Mutt's livery on that, the rustic sort of VW. But the Aston Martin, the Aston Martin on mediums, it does turn into a very, very, very effective rolling roadblock. One of the reasons I didn't want Ice-chan to get past me, because there was parts of the track where I was definitely faster, but he had that great big leveler in the V12 engine. Don't forget, I'm not planning on stopping on these mediums that long. Oh, a little bit of contact there between us both. I think what happened there is, I think it was either a little bit of lag that just caught us both out. Ice-chan backs off, and I don't think he needed to. So he gives me a little bit of a nudge there, which isn't too much, and then yeah, lag catches us out there. He backs off. I don't think he didn't need to back off there. Nothing in that, mate. Absolutely nothing in that, badge. But appreciate sportsmanship all the same, but there was no need for it in that realm. So yeah, Phil, me, Ice-chan, we're all just trying to get this medium stint out of the way and then get back on the softs. Again, saving as much fuel as we can in the meantime. So Phil obviously took less fuel on initially than most of us, which is why he let me in the pit. I should retake that position next time. I should. I'm not sure when we're planning on pitting though. Again, we might have to stretch this medium stint out a little bit. Mutt 36, now ahead of Surfer Rev, but he's going to have to come in the pit soon. Fat Pickle's just dropped by these guys just a little bit. Surfer Rev's going to go for the move here, is he? Oh, just gets it tidied up just ahead of Mutt then. Even on the medium tyres, the Aston Martin are able to make that move count. Pickle's still on his softs. Again, he just needs to stretch this out. He will take these softs as long as he possibly can. We're expecting 29 laps here, so he knows roughly when he's going to have to pit and when he has to stretch that out to. Infinity Decals, slightly different strategy for him. He's not long off a pit stop. Same for Tricky Tree. We'll probably see him in at the end of this lap to get rid of his mediums. Valtteri out on his mediums now. Has been for a couple of laps. Kind of out on his own, and so is C Trickle. So lots yet to happen here in the final round of the Infinity GT Manufacturers Series. So lap 18, less than 20 minutes to go in the race. James Hammond carries on for another one. Would expect Phil in this lap, so he's going to have to do a slightly longer stint at the end. I'll tell you why that might be important. So I carry on, so does Ice-chan, so we're going to go on a little bit longer. So does Surf Rev. Chan not close enough at that point to make the move. Phil in, and so is Infinity Decals. A couple of drivers have pitted the lap before. Mutt 36 was one of them, and so was Tricky Tree. So we should be coming to see the last of most pit stops now. I'd imagine James will stretch this as long as he can, so will Fat Pickles Bro. Anyone that still needs to take the medium tyre will wait as long as he possibly can. In terms of myself, still got a lap or two's worth of fuel on board. I wanted to make this last stint because I was quite happy with the pace on mediums. I wanted to make the last stint so I could rev the car out a little bit more and just go for a little bit more of a push strategy at the end, just to give myself a little bit of protection. So I do try and I actually extend the medium stint, which is usually against the grain, but I just felt like it gave me a little bit more pace at the end. See how that works out, I guess. Pickle's still got half a tank on board that car, so he's good for a while yet. He will wait as long as he can. At least 5-6 laps worth of fuel left in that Porsche. Phil comes out the pits now in 6th, just ahead of Valtteri. And Infinity Decals and Mutt 36 now embroiled in a little bit of a battle. Infinity Decals running his mediums now, so he will be a little bit slower than the VW. So indeed, the top, Ice Chan and myself pit. So that's going to let a few cars through. You can see just how long it takes then for your car just to reach the pit box. So a fresh set of soft tyres, and I opted to overfuel the car just a little bit again, just to give me that choice at the end. So Fat Pickles Bro goes through, Surf Rev goes through, but he's going to have to pit next lap. James has got maybe a couple of laps left in that McLaren. So I come out the pits in 4th. I have jumped Phil, as we kind of expected, because he's having to run that extra lap now. So my hope is hopefully he's fuel saving a little bit. I don't really have to worry as much about fuel saving, so we've got 9 laps left. I can rev this car out a little bit more now. So still a few pit stops to make, so this isn't the final picture just yet. James has still got to pit yet to get a set of mediums on, but won't need to take too much fuel on board. And I imagine Surfer will pit this lap, which will put Fat Pickles Bro into 3rd when he does that. Sorry, into 2nd when he does that. He's already in 3rd. McLaren boys get to work on James's car. So he's now going to go onto his mediums, enough fuel to get to the end. So this puts Fat Pickles Bro in the lead of the race, but he's got to pit and take his medium tyres yet. So we'll see where he comes out when he does do that. He's doing a good job on his softs though. So lapping in good times on those soft tyres. Such is James's dominance during his 2 soft stints that he comes out ahead of me, and the gap just under 15 seconds at this point. The good news for me is I've got rid of my slower tyre. I'm on This Is Me to the end now, and I'm now starting to put in some faster times because I've got enough fuel in the car now to do it. So now I can start to unleash the Mercedes a little bit. We've got Phil in 4th. He's just ahead of Ice Chan. In fact, these two were battling for a little bit. And then Surf Rev after his pit stops. Now with the fastest lap of the race, 40.6 in 6th. Mutt 36 in 7th. He is by quite a way ahead of Tricky Tree. In 8th, who is ahead of Infinity Decals, who does have Valtteri for company, and C Trickle in 11th, and not far off being a lap down now by Fat Pickles Bro. So the question is, does Fat Pickles Bro pit? Sort of predicted he'd try and stretch it out a little bit longer. Maybe he's feeling these tyres. Does he pit? No. Oh, yeah, he does. He comes in now. So he comes in with 14% fuel. So he could have gone on an extra lap, but he chooses to pit now. So now it's just a case of what happens during the last 10 minutes of the race, really. I don't think I've got enough time to reel James back in again. He did such a good job in the opening sort of part of the race that it's going to be very, very hard to do anything about this deficit. But the one thing to worry about though is Fat Pickles Bro just get ahead. That was close. Just go on board with Pickles actually. So he doesn't need to take that much fuel on. Don't forget, him and me are in direct race for the championship, and there I am. So that's the gap then for the championship. Not a lot in it, and we all know what Fat Pickles Bro is capable of, but he is on the slower tyre. The medium tyre does not offer as much grip as the soft. I'm on the soft, I've got enough fuel, I can start really putting my foot down now. And Pickles might, he's got enough fuel, he shouldn't need to fuel save that much. But if I'm being honest, the Mercedes is probably a bit more of a capable car than the Porsche around here. The Porsche comes to life in handling tracks, this isn't one of those. He's just ahead of Phil, so yeah, everyone's stopped now. This is the order of the race unless anyone goes for some daring overtakes in the last stages of the race. So James Harben does lead. Gap, as I've commented, was 14 seconds at the time of the pit stop. We'll keep an eye on that. Myself just ahead of Fat Pickles, though the gap second and a bit, 2 seconds between us. He's just ahead of Phil, Ice Chan, Surfer Ev. And then Mutt 36 kind of out on his own, so is Tricky Tree. And then Infinity Decals, and Valtteri. With C Trickle out in 11th place. So that's how it's shaping up for the end of the race. 8 minutes to go at Sardegna until season 4 comes to a close. The battle for third is now a 4-way scrap between Fat Pickles, Bro, Phil, Ice Chan and Surfer Ev. Pickles is on the slowest of all the slow tyres, everyone else is running the soft compound. And he's in the Porsche, which isn't the fastest in a straight line, whereas he's in a similar situation to what I was at the start of the race, where he's just surrounded by power cars. As it stands, I am winning the championship. It's good news for me that Fat Pickles both come out with all this attention on him, and Phil does try and make a look down the inside. The Dodge Viper slings one down. Fat Pickles nice and tidy on the brakes, but the Dodge Viper and potentially the Aston Martin gets his way past as well. So Phil then up to third. He's going to have his work cut out though, because he's got Ice Chan and Fat Pickles. Oh, he goes off the track, Phil. Just cooks it a little bit too fast into that corner, keeps the position. I see Tricky Tree in the pits again. Maybe needed a bit of a splash and dash on that car. Yeah, Pickles then just starting to struggle on those mediums. Again, it's just the power of the cars around him, like they're just faster cars in a straight line. Oh, Ice Chan goes very deep there, what was that? Yeah, he just gets his braking light. So now Ice Chan has gone from battling for third down to sixth position. Puts Fat Pickles back up to fourth then. Is he getting any slipstream from the Viper Sniper of Phil? Looks like he might be. With this, Phil might well seal third in the championship as well. He's had a very good season. If you remember from the intro sequence, him and Mark Eldridge, aka Mutt 36, were in a battle for third in the championship. Mutt, who won at Bathurst last week. As the Aston Martins are squabbling over 5th place. A little bit of a just the hazards on there for Ice Chan. I think one of them must have cooked their braking a little bit. Yeah, so Phil doing himself a world of good with this result. As long as he finishes ahead of Mutt, he'll be fine. And then there is that battle for the mid-table positions. There's a couple of positions that are separated by just a handful of points. Course, following this footage there'll be all the results out as well, so you'll see how it all panned out. That's coming at you in just a minute or two's time. Still a lot of scores to settle here at Sardegna, lots of little bits, pockets of action on track that have been rumbling on all race. One of them is this fight is Mutt versus Infinity Decals, and as we come round to start lap 28 for these boys, and Mutt's got the inside line. Infinity Decals trying to go around the outside. Can the Porsche get the brakes tidied up? Mutt just about. He's got a lot of lag going on. Infinity Decals might be struggling with that a little bit, because you can never really predict where that car is at any one time to another. Mutt wouldn't know this is going on, by the way. Like, this is not an intention. He's not sort of like downloading lots of torrents just to slow his internet down and make him unbaseable. He genuinely wouldn't know this is going on, and Infinity Decals gets a little bit of a bias to the side there. Again, just hard to predict where that VW is, and ends up having to just tuck himself a little bit further back. Yeah, you can see it there. Just again, he's putting Infinity Decals right off. This is bringing Valtteri back into the equation now. Does get the drive. Mutt tries to defend it but can't. Does Valtteri get involved in this as well? We might well try it. Let's have a little bit of a recap then, as James is now into lap 29. This should be the last lap for James. Leads the way. What's the gap? Down to 7.5 seconds now between me and James. So you can see I'm in the 40s. Have been pretty much since my pit stop. True pace of the Mercedes now unleashed, but you could not have done this all race long. Phil has been battling with Fat Pickles bro, but Fat Pickles has now got the attention of the Aston Martins. So does Surfer F manage to get past Fat Pickles bro down here? This is where the Aston can really stretch his legs. Pickles is getting a little bit of a slipstream from the Dodge ahead and has to go defensive. Surfer might try and get the cut back. Fat Pickles were instead nice and tidy on the brakes instead. Ice Chand in 6th, Tricky Treat 7th in, with Mutt in 8th ahead of Infinity Decals, Valtteri 10th and C Trickle in 11th. Final lap. So this will be C Trickle's finish, so he does finish the race. Everyone else now has this last lap to complete. James Harben though, fantastic performance by the McLaren driver, picks up his first win. Absolute dominance from James Harben. I come through to take P2, and with that the title. 40.4 in the end is my last lap, just missing out on the fastest lap of the race. Phil 3rd, Surfer Rev 4th, Fat Pickles bro 5th. So in fact we'll go back and watch that very quickly. When did Surfer take that? It was here, look, right at the end. So Pickles went deep. Pickles just went a little bit deep there, and yeah, Surfer grabbed that on the very last part of the race. A penultimate corner, just grabs P4 from under the nose of Fat Pickles bro. So a good performance for the Aston Martin team. That should shape them well in the manufacturers. P6 for Ice Chand, Tricky Treat in the Sister McLaren, P7 for him. As a bit of a disclaimer for Tricky Treat, he'd not done any practice. He literally came into the race blind. So to say he'd done no practice, even though it was a very dominant car, still pretty good achievement for him. Because you really do still need to practice to get the most out of your car. So P7 for Tricky Treat. This little battle that's been brewing between these boys here. Mutt 36. Just over Infinity Decals, him and Valtteri are going to be drag racing to the line. So just about in the end. So confirmation now then of the full race results, including the extra points for fastest lap and pole position. This being the final round then, this will lead us into the Drivers' Championship, so how the final standings sort of sit after everything's been tallied up. So myself on 159 points takes the championship, Fat Pickles on 147 in 2nd. Big movers though, James Harben all the way up to 5th, 91 points with that win. Has 91, and Ice Chand also making forward progress. In terms of the manufacturers, this was really close before the race. Mercedes clinching it, 242 points with Porsche in 2nd, VW 3rd and Dodge 4th. Thanks for watching, and see you next season.